All right, YouTube, got something special for you today. This year we decided to add more bees to the apiary. We decided to start with a couple packages this year. I don't particularly like packages, mostly because they have to be fed. They don't have any resources other than this can of syrup that's in here. They have no drawn out comb. It's just a mishmash of various bees from different colonies, a queen thrown in there, packaged up, and sold. The reason that we did it this year is because it's a very specific type of bee. They're Carniolans. I'm really interested to try these in this area. They are a native to Romania, Serbia, Eastern Europe. They're known to be quite gentle. They're also known to be quite productive later into the fall when things start to get cooler and damp the way they do here in the Pacific Northwest. So I went and picked these up this morning from our local coastal is where we purchased them from. And so we're going to go ahead and get these into this hive. We've got a 10 frame hive body here with 10 frames, obviously, with right cell foundation, an inner cover, an outer cover, bottom board. So it's just a basic hive setup. We're going to go ahead and get these bees housed into this hive this afternoon. All right, so the first thing we're going to do before we actually get the bees out of this box and break this box open, there's a couple things I want to do inside the hive here. And the first thing is we're going to obviously want to take out the whole section, the whole middle section of frames. All right, we don't need those in there. They're just going to be in our way for right now. All right, what I'm going to do is going to actually lightly spritz my frames with some sugar syrup that's got ProHealth on it. ProHealth is a bee feeding supplement. It is an appetite stimulant. It also has a few different essential oils in there to prevent spoilage. Lemongrass is one of them to kind of get them interested in it. And so we're going to go ahead and spray the frames just very lightly. Just get a little something on there, and that will entice them to start working on the frames. Doesn't have to be a whole bunch. These frames come waxed already. One other thing I want to point out here is with right cell foundation, the corners of these have a perforation in them. And I always try to punch out that perforation and kind of bevel off that end of the frame there. That allows bees to kind of travel behind the frame without actually going all the way around the frame. I'm not sure that it makes a huge difference, but that's what that's for. And so I generally do that. All right, so now that we've got that going, one thing that we're going to want to do is make sure that we're not going to open this can and these bees just fly out everywhere. So what we're going to do is get a little piece of wood. Once I pull this can of syrup and the queen out of here, I'm going to cover the package back so the bees aren't flying all out. It's important to note I do have a smoker going. I'm probably not going to need it. These bees have nothing to defend, so they're probably going to be very gentle, but I rarely will go into any kind of bee situation without a smoker lit, at least in the background. So let me grab my piece of wood here. All right, so I've opted for a piece of cardboard and a rock. Just something to close this hole. The first thing I'm going to do, now that we're ready to get the bees open and into this box, I'm going to go ahead and actually spritz the bees themselves. I'm not going to drench them, but I am going to kind of get a little bit of the sugar water with ProHealth onto them. What this will cause, once we tap them down, this will cause them to start grooming each other. It will kind of keep them occupied while we're doing our thing. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just give it a light tap on the ground. That knocked all the bees down. And like I said, now that they're covered in a little bit of sugar syrup, they are preoccupied a little bit. I'm not really a big fan of how they've got this syrup in here. It is a little awkward trying to get it out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now we've got our queen cage here. We're going to go ahead and set this syrup off to the side. And we're going to pull the queen cage out here. Okay. A few bees are going to get out. It's not a big deal. So we're going to look and see. This is our queen. She is in there, I see. She's looking pretty good. And so inside here, usually there's a plug of sugar. In this case, it does not look like there's any sugar. And so what we're going to have to do is just leave her caged up. Usually you would pull the cork off the sugar, and then the bees would slowly over the next couple of days kind of free her. They would eat the sugar and free her from there. Since there is no sugar plug on this, we're just going to go ahead and hang the queen cage from the frame there. All right, now we're ready to get the bees into the hive. This part, there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. You could put the frames back in, lay the box on its side, and let the bees come out on their own. I'm going to go ahead and actually shake the bees into this box just to get this done quickly. So I'm going to give them another light tamp down, and then just dump the bees into the box. And then they're going to be flying around, of course. What I'm going to do is go ahead and actually lay this on its side here. I'll put my frames back in first. We'll go ahead and juice them up a little bit. And I can see already that the bees are climbing the comb, trying to get back up to that queen. We're going to give them something to start with here. Not trying to squish anybody. Slow, deliberate movements. All right, I don't know, this one will go in. Yeah. Okay. So the queen is in there. We want to make sure that the attendants can get to her. Okay, then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put a super on here, and then I'm going to lay the box in. This way, any stragglers that are still in the box, they will be able to find their way out. All right. From here, I'm going to add a feeder. We're going to use this top feeder. I don't generally like to feed bees, like I said. If you know me, you know I don't really like this, but for a package, they've got to have something to get started. So we're going to use these. It's a top feeder. You fill the tray with syrup, and you have these rafts so the bees can float. What we're going to do is go ahead and get this set on top. I will come back and fill in just a little while. I just took a sting here, so they are getting a little rambunctious. Go ahead and get that covered, and then they should start to settle down here over the next couple of minutes. Once they realize that the queen is in there, then they will all start to go in there as well. For now, I think I will open the entrance reducer just to give them more of a space to get in. As you can see, they are starting to congregate to the entrance here. So the only thing that's left to do is fill up that feeder, and then we'll come back in a couple days and free that queen. Yep, and then this colony will be ready to go. All right, so we got one more to do. We're going to let these bees cool out for a little while. We don't want to have too many bees in the air getting confused. So right now we're just going to kind of let them land and get situated for a little while, let everything calm down. All right, what I have here is a gallon of 1-to-1, 1 part sugar to 1 part water. So it's basically 8 pounds of sugar to a gallon of water. What we're going to do is we're going to fill this super. I'm guessing that they're going to use probably about a gallon a week. And like I said, this little tray in here floats so the bees can come and get the syrup, but they also will not get stuck in the syrup and drown. I can see some bees are already getting in there, taking a drink, which is great. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and cover this back. Now the bees can climb up through the inside and get this internally. They do not have to come to the outside at all to get this syrup. So, yep, in a couple days I'll come back and check on them. You can see already that the bees have, you may be able to see, I don't know, that they've already started to calm down. Most of them have gone into the hive. So yeah, we're on to the next one. All right, so it's been exactly 4 days since we installed this package. We came back right at the 2-day mark to check on things, and to my surprise, they had finished that whole gallon of syrup. Both colonies did. So we gave them 2 more gallons, and we also checked the queens. And to my surprise, they were chewing through the cork. They were almost finished, so we opted to just let them go on about doing that. And so we decided to give it a couple more days. Today, I'm here to check, just to verify. I'm pretty sure the queens are released. If they're not, we are going to, but we definitely need to at least check. So I also need to see what they're working with as far as the sugar syrup as well. So I do see there are bees coming back here that have pollen, so that is a good thing. I did notice already at the 2-day mark they were also drawing comb, so I'll be surprised to see what we have in here, I think. So we do have a smoker lit. We're going to give them a light smoke, and we're going to check to see the status of what's going on here. So first thing, we'll pop this outer cover. Okay, I do want to pop the feeder real quick just to see. They still definitely do have a good bit in there, so no need to fool with that. I will need to get this out of the way, however. So what I'm going to do is very, very gently lift it off and place that on my outer cover, just like so. All right, so I'm going to stop the video and get the camera in a better position so that you can actually see what's going on here. So hopefully we got a good camera angle here. This can be a very quick inspection. Just want to see the queen is released and see what all the bees are doing. There's bees on that frame, which is good. Bees on this frame. Few bees on every frame. They are starting to draw comb here. This frame is definitely heavy. They are storing pollen, drawing out comb. This looks really great. This frame is really heavy, loaded with bees. They're pulling out the comb, just going to work. There's the queen. I don't know if you'll be able to see her on the camera, but she's there. There are eggs being laid, looks like. Yep, but for sure, this is the queen right here. I'm hoping that the video will show it, but she is released. So go ahead and put that back in. I'll pull this cage and I can verify that the hole is wide open. There's worker bees all in there. We're going to take this out. They don't need that in there anymore. But we will look to see. Looking great. They've definitely got comb pulled out here. Comb pulled out here. There's nectar being put away. Comb being pulled out. Yeah, this is looking great. So this is a 3-pound package. That's roughly about 10 or 12,000 bees. And hopefully by the end of this summer, they can grow themselves into, 50, 60,000, hopefully. Hi, bees. All right. So I'm happy with what I've seen here. They still got a bit of syrup, so we're gonna let them continue. I will come back in a couple days. I wanna make sure all my frames are tight together at this point. All right, we'll come back in a few days to see if they need some more syrup. But for now, go ahead, very gently add the feeder back. We don't want to slosh that syrup around. All right, I'm very happy with what I'm seeing here. We'll go ahead and let them get to it. We're going to try not to disturb them as much as possible, and let them get built up as quickly as possible. All right, and that's it, YouTube. That is how you install a package. They're in there, they're working, the queen's loose, eggs are being laid. So from here, it's really just a matter of letting them do their thing. But we're going to kind of keep track of their progress as the summer goes. So stay tuned. Thanks.